This totaled Nissan 350Z was left in pieces and destroyed from a collision in somebody's garage for over 7 years. I managed to find this car while doom scrolling on Marketplace one night, and I was able to haggle with the owner to get it for a really good deal. Cheaper than what you could actually buy a hacked 350Z for. So I called my co-pilot cameraman Wes, and we took a very long excruciating trip to pick the car up in my 1980 Ford F350 rollback with no AC in 100-degree heat. So why was I able to score this Z for so cheap? Well, like the old saying goes, you get what you pay for. This Nissan came with a half-swapped Chevy LS engine and a wide variety of parts with it, so not only did we need to fix the wrecked part of it, but also needed to make this thing run and drive. Now, in order to make this happen not so quickly, we're ordering some parts from Temu and turning the wheels on a dyno, hopefully to make some serious horsepower using a bone stock Chevy Gen 4 LS coupled with a big ass 82mm Borg Warner turbo, pushing all those whooshy noises through a stock CD009 6-speed manual transmission. As the time-old saying goes, you get what you pay for. But is that really the case with today's incredible selection of cheap and very usable Chinesium parts from the many different manufacturers, it seems all of which are veering towards the cheaper industrial standards and less quality checks, all just to save a buck? So today we're going to test this theory and see if the old saying is true. Alright guys, let's talk about where we're at today with this thing, and let's do a quick recap. This 350Z, we had a lot of work to do to this thing. After looking at this thing yesterday, so just to bring you guys up to speed, the drive shaft bolts were loose, the motor mount bolts were loose, half the bell housing bolts were missing. So I'm really glad that I went through and kind of double checked all the stuff on this car, because you never know what you're getting when you get these projects from other builders, marketplace builders. So basically I did all that work. I'm not extremely happy with the placement of the turbos, and unfortunately, even after 100 hours of work on this thing, of placing and welding and cutting and manipulating this all to fit properly, I'm literally taking everything from here forward off and redoing it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to work. We're gonna steal all the stuff off the turbo truck and try to fabricate some type of assembly, and then we'll figure out what the plan is before we get this thing to the dyno. Alright guys, so fortunately for me, this really didn't take that long to accomplish. You know, within 20 minutes, we pretty much had everything off. Getting a good look at this thing, we have a decent amount of room here. I gotta clean all this up real quick, and then we must steal the parts from the race truck and start to try and fabricate some sort of assembly for this thing. I think I want the turbo to land in here. I'm gonna try and reuse one of the exhaust sides off of that, and then make something that merges in like a Y, and that way it can work together in harmony. Harmonious horsepower creating. So let's go ahead and get started with robbing the stuff off the race truck. Alright guys, so let's take a quick look at the progress on the hot side of the turbo, and then we'll talk about some of the things we're going to do really quick before we can get this thing on the dyno. Alright guys, so as you can see, things are a mess right now. I am in the mock-up stage. I'm about to install this Mishimoto 3-core radiator into this thing. That will be a substantial amount of increase in cooling capacity for this car, which should help keep this 800 horse at bay. So that's the Borg Warner S482 with a billet wheel. Gonna cut that up a little bit, make that work for here, get this positioned. I'm kind of liking the position of this by the headlight. I'll probably tilt this back just a hair, and then that's kind of where I want to land the turbo. And then we'll figure out, I haven't decided if I want to do an air-to-air or a water-to-air intercooler yet. Still kind of tossing that up, but we'll see when she's done where we land. Alright guys, it is literally a week later, and I finally got majority of the stuff done. I'm just about in the phase of getting ready to take this thing back apart, wrap all the tubes, finalize all of the, clamps and such. But let's take a look. Let's see how this thing really came out. All right, guys. So this is the final masterpiece that I came up with. Love the new Mishimoto radiator. I definitely think that's going to keep this thing cool. It's a very, very Very tight fit in here. You can see the difference between my old welding from 3 years ago to how I weld now. Big difference. I can stack some dimes now. Very, very happy with my aluminum welding here. I'm not really concerned with the aesthetics of this. Right now, I just needed to perform for the dyno. And later on, if I want to go back, cut stuff off, redo stuff so that this isn't all crooked looking and make it nice and straight and stuff like that. Like, I really just need to get this thing up and going. I've got literally 1 week left till the dyno session, and we've just got to button everything up and pull this thing out. Now that we got this thing huffing some good old 93 octane, we're ready to move on to the Temu parts. I dedicated an entire 10 minutes of my time to researching some of their top candidates for trial, and most likely huge error on my part, but as the new age people say, right before making huge mistakes, YOLO! Upon my search, I was able to find 3 pretty liquid candidates for this process, some 350Z fuel injectors, which who even knows the size of them since it doesn't say on the website. I also found some rotors that look pretty sketch but also a pretty good deal, and I also even found a fuel sending unit that I will be able to modify and fit a Marlboro 535 Hellcat fuel pump, which I chose to be able to fuel this car well into the 800 wheel horsepower range if desired in the future. Today we are going to be testing this setup on 93 octane pump gas, and my dyno tuner will not let me go past 650 wheel horsepower on pump, which is around 800 crank horsepower with the parasitic loss through the driveline. A few other finishing touches while we are at it: we are swapping the rear axles out for some driveshaft performance ones, as well as the stock Nissan 350Z rear control arms, since we are already sporting some eBay coilovers, so we can use a solid control arm that was donated to me by a very good friend, subscriber, and customer, Tom. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you, bro. Once we get all that done, we are pretty much ready to go hit the rollers. Alright guys, dyno day. Pretty. Everybody's excited.
Isn't she pretty?
Who's ready to see some power today? I'm ready to, well, this isn't going to be like crazy horsepower though.
Like
but
mine.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yo, TJ came up with a great idea for a t-shirt design, and I think we're going to do I wish I was as fast as my dad thinks he was.
Except for Dad's gonna have a Hero 12 in his car this time as proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up? You want to see some horsepower today? We got the whole crew, guys. That's my son JJ. He's 11. We got Wes. He's really old, and then we got Papa Smurf, Father Time here.
Yeah, everybody knows me.
He's as old as the dinosaurs. Excited to lay some horsepower numbers down. Comment below what you think it's gonna make. Let's get it. You're going to notice a section here where it is stumbling. We connected a wire to the Holly for a ground and tried mapping in a boost controller on a push button switch. It did work, but the main goal was just to make some usable power. Not too shabby. Be sure to give John a call if you need some dyno tuning done in the Northeast Pennsylvania area. He does amazing work. Oh, I think that... Uh-oh. That's oil. Yep. Careful, I saw a flame there for a quick second. Later on, I figured out the oil actually came from the dipstick tube. I guess this is why the NHRA requires you to have a locking dipstick tube, so that you can't do this on the racetrack. Sheesh! Look at that! 632, pal. Yeah, baby. Other than the stupid catch can leaking, that was pretty good. And with the final run out of the way, we managed to pull a decent 632 wheel horsepower and 472 foot-pounds of peak torque. Not too shabby for some Temu parts slapped on that Chevy stock LS engine.